I'd like to introduce Rob Bowman. Rob is the president of Charter Homes. Charter Homes is really an inspiration to me. I have to say, they are the leading practitioner in Pennsylvania of new urbanist housing. And for a long time, I've photographed and walked and studied and admired their communities. Rob has been recognized many times for his success as an entrepreneur and as a developer. He won the 2013 Gold National Housing Quality Award. He was recognized as Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year, and presently he's involved at the national level with ULI as a member of the executive committee of the Residential Neighborhood Development Council. And with that, I'd like to introduce Rob Bowman.
Thanks, Jason, and good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to come down here and speak to you a little bit about kind of what we're doing up in the country. My kids go to school outside of Lancaster County, and they start a Facebook page saying, just because I live in Lancaster County doesn't mean I'm Amish. So I was going to put on a little mask and show you all that. I really just want to very quickly take you through a quick tour of kind of what's happening from my perspective on the front lines. I mean, what Chris and John have shared, there's nothing I would disagree with. You know, we are looking every day to kind of rethink housing patterns, and I'll walk you through that journey here as quickly as I can. I'd like to take you through kind of three different perspectives on it. One is a home buyer. So, you know, we can talk a lot about this, but at the end of the day, every business needs to be focused on their customer. And so this is all about kind of who buys our homes. The second thing I'd like to just kind of hopefully give you some insight on is the business. You know, who's able to do what we're asking them to do. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is, you know, kind of what's the opportunity going forward. So this was called the nightmare. You know, I think there was nightmare in the headline for this event. And I just want to let you know the nightmare's over as far as I'm concerned. In 2006, you know, we were at the top of this chart. I have had a heck of a ride over the last six years, and now, you know, whether we're at the bottom or whether the housing market's trending up, you know, I mean, from my perspective, anything looking forward can't be as bad as the last 6 years. But the reason I want to bring this up is because, you know, we stayed true to a few things that we decided to do as a company, and irregardless or irrespective of the market, have still been able to create value not only in the company but for our home buyers. And so, you know, this context is very important, and I think, you know, when I show you kind of what we're doing and why we're doing it, the fact that it worked in one of the worst housing markets in the country, you know, ever, really speaks volumes to us, anyways. So, and everybody's kind of, you know, sharing their Philadelphia story, how they're connected. So, I started Charter Homes 22 years ago. There's 4 of my associates sitting here as well. Couldn't do it without them. And Charter Homes is named after the William Penn Charter School, which was I graduated from just up in Germantown, and so I have really strong feelings for Philadelphia and for the Philadelphia market here. So let's just talk a little bit about the home buyer. Real quick story. So started Charter in 1990. Moved to Lancaster, started it from scratch, and you know, I just shared with you this picture because we built a fairly successful business, being a merchant builder and developer of, you know, what was simply allowed. You know, whether it was a quarter-acre, half-acre, acre home sites. It's a great business, and we were very successful at it, and continue to be. 2001, this barn shows up in my life. And so this barn is right at the intersection of a township road and where PennDOT thought we should locate access to this property to be developed. We just finished 105 homes on 30-acre home sites over the hill, again, very successful. And I started to think about this, and I started talking, and I wondered, so I started a building company, I'm a builder, and so what kind of, in the big picture, I mean, what opportunities do I have to kind of make a difference in people's lives? And I started thinking about, you know, well, we can't force people to get together, and I think John and Chris, you know, I can't socially engineer who's going to get people together. I do have an opportunity to create spaces where people may come together and live their lives a little bit differently. And this barn kind of reminded me that this barn was built sometime about 200 years ago. And for me to tear this down all of a sudden became kind of just a personal, you know, a personal kind of conundrum in the sense. I said, wait a second, I mean, this was built by, this speaks volumes about the place we live. This was built by very caring hands. It really represents an agricultural heritage that I mean, is truly what grounds Lancaster County. You know, really what it is. And for me to, in a matter of a couple weeks or days, I mean, tear something down so significant just didn't seem to me, didn't feel right. But all the rules and everything we were supposed to do, everything we were supposed to follow said, hey, I mean, this is the way you do development. And so we went to the township and we said, if we were just to set aside the rule book here, would you give us a chance to kind of go out and rethink what this piece of property should look like? Would you give us a chance to really not think about, just simply what you'd ask us to do, more 30-acre lots, but just let us go and come up with something we think is really powerful. And fortunately at that time we ran into a couple at that time township supervisors who had tremendous vision and offered us some trust and said, we'd like to let you do that. And with that, we developed a neighborhood in Lancaster County called Mill Creek, which was we started in 2001. And the photograph you're looking at, I think what's really important to notice about that photograph is that photograph was taken 6 months after we built those houses. And what you'll notice is all the trees. I mean, that clearly are hundreds of years older than the houses. You'll see the way the street winds up the hill and is only 20 feet wide. I mean, this township allowed us to basically throw all the rules away unless they involved life safety, okay, and really stood there and allowed us to sit, township meeting after township meeting and talk to people about why building place would be more valuable than simply just doing what was allowed. And this really started us on it. This really started to kind of set us on a journey of why is it that there's some places, regardless of economic conditions, regardless of kind of what's actually built there, that you ask people to say, what's my favorite place in the town I live in or the region I live in? These places just come up time and time again, and there's only a few of them. But we realized, what we can build really talks about who people are and what they value. And so, we stood here and we had here, flyers about how we were going to sell homes for cheap, and those kind of people were going to move in, and all the fears that come with change. But it was really the leadership at the township level that said, hey, let's make this work. And, we got so jazzed about this. There were such simple things like we mixed townhouses and singles, which you go, oh my gosh, it's, not really a big deal. But we intermixed them on the street, which was a huge issue for our marketplace. We put alleys on some product. We really, had no idea what we were doing, but we really figured it out. And very quickly, off paper, sold 21 houses in a market that would have sold 12 in a year. It was a big deal. And people wanted to see that. We invested in building the entire First Street really as a model park, and then it filled up just like that. And that started us on a journey of really rethinking how we do everything. So we went on a journey to find township leaders and municipal officials that wanted to make change and were willing to stand with us and say this is worth it in the long run. And what we found was a tremendous amount of support in the area that includes really Harrisburg, Hershey, the East and West Shores, the York area, and the Lancaster market. And so, with the Mill Creek property, we were at about maybe 4 or 5 units to the acre, which again was a huge change from 2.5. The next project we did was in a small borough called Mount Joy. Just backwards as can be in terms of housing values and perceived value. We bought a 60-acre tract and have delivered 350 out of 450 homes. So we pushed densities up to 10, 11, 12 units to the acre on some of these projects, and people got it, and home buyers got it. And we always felt like we were being led in the sense that buyers searched us out, buyers could get the story, they understood what we were trying to do, and so we moved on. And lots of learning, lots of mistakes. But we started delivering homes that were 30 feet wide in a market where homes had to be 70 feet wide, and we started selling homes for equal to or more on a price per square foot than anything else in the marketplace. And that really, just as I mentioned to you, this is about 2003, 2004, and the rallying cry for us is not what's allowed, but we always want to think about what's possible. And so our pitch is always, let's stop thinking about this, and I'll share. Stop thinking about this as anything other than trying to create value, and not just economic value, not just for us and for the community, but develop places that people would really hold dear and really hang on to. And I show you this picture again because our journey included, okay, we started on some entry-level product and some lower kind of mid-price stuff, and today with some of our products, we sell the most expensive homes on a cost per square foot basis in our region on the smallest home sites. This won a national award, a Best American Living Award. It's really caught on. The third project we did was a project called Veranda, where our homes are in the 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s in a market where, all the way through this, as the market went down, as I showed you that slide, we made a decision as lots of builders tried to figure out how to do things for cheaper, we figured out how to do them better, and the differences in design, and our property values held for the most part. I mean, they were affected maybe 5 or 10% in some neighborhoods, but I mean, in a market that was down 20 or 30%, I mean, we can stand there confidently with home buyers and say, look what we've been able to create for you. We tried to apply it to active adult. That was a little bit of a learning experience, and we're still working through that one. And then really, Florin Hill was the first place where I think of mixed use, and so we're in that suburban ring. I think of mixed use this way. I don't think of it this way. Anybody can do, anybody can carve up a corner and make it a convenience store, or make it some other use and put the houses behind it. We wanted to figure out how do we put commercial office under residential, and so Florin Hill was the first project we did that with, and people got it. And this we happened to rent. Those were apartments, but we really spoke to architecture, and we really spoke to just a whole different experience of what you could find in the market. It seemed to be working. And then we started this whole journey on place and space, and so we no longer call it open space, we call it preserved space, because open space is that which cannot be built on, right? It's the corners of sites, and we said, look, once again, making great places is all about like an ad. A great ad is formed by what's not on the page, what you don't see, that white space. And so we really started to think about neighborhood building as the space between the houses. And so we've developed, I think, as we've just heard, people want, they want places to gather, they want places to spend 15 or 20 minutes out of a very hectic day, just with a few friends that they may or may not know down the street. And so this whole idea came about, and really I think here is where we really learned that our home buyers don't care about new urbanism, they don't care about traditional neighborhood development. What they care about is emotionally attaching themselves to the places they live. I've heard this whole conversation about the limbic brain and how it feels emotion and all that stuff. There's a very guttural sense to how we live, and as builders and developers, and people that support this industry, we have to stop arguing and thinking about kind of what the new rules are and start just focusing on what people want. And so we now don't, when people say, what do? We say we build great American neighborhoods, because when you say the word neighborhood, everybody goes back to some place they visited or they lived that said, I hold that place dear. And we've got to kind of decipher what those things are and bring them, put them in place so that people can get attached to the places they live and really drive values up. Again, not just sales price, although that's obviously, we're critically interested in seeing sales prices go up, but in a place where they really own where they live. We've done it with multifamily, instead of here we built, this is a picture of 121 units on 2 acres, not including stormwater. We built the buildings to look like old shoe factories that were informed from the neighborhood around us, and we started to think about, again, there's tremendous history in the places where we build, so let's be thoughtful about that, more about that later. And then this is a more recent project. This is called the Crossroads at Walden. And this is where I always think, a great presentation for us publicly is if the last question or the question we never get is density. And I can tell you that almost to a T, except for one project, we never get the question, how many units to the acre? And I look at that proudly, but I really think it's more a signal of when the conversation's immediately about density, you didn't pitch the project right. You didn't connect with people in a way that says I can make your place more valuable. Because you're going to, we'll always lose the density conversation, and I think that's very closely attached to traditional neighborhood development. All the other words we've already created. I have a wonderful photo of 2 toilets that are very close. It's from some airport that was really poorly designed, and I said, there's good density and there's bad density. And so, density for me is always a conversation that you have to have after you get people to buy into the process. And this one, we fought with the whole, we built lots of homes around this site. We had those neighbors upset with us. We had the township upset with us. but we said, just give us a chance. And so, not including stormwater, we're 72 units on 2 acres in Silver Spring Township, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. This is our best-selling job. Best-selling job. And you know who's buying this? We figured this has got 2 cars in the rear. You go up. It's a 2-story townhouse on top of mixed use. And we found a whole new demographic, which I think John alluded to, is this is single women, either single, never married, single, divorced, who want to be around our biggest amenity, which is people. They love living above the street where they don't have to connect, but if they want to be with people, it's right downstairs. And so bringing people to the streetscape is kind of our new mission, is to make sure that we've got people walking through our neighborhoods at all times. I show you this list. The ones in white are under development. The blue ones are either completed or we finished. But just to talk to you about, is it the future? In central Pennsylvania, we have done or have under development 5,100 home sites where we're applying these, and our neighborhoods are by far the best-selling neighborhoods on a per-sale basis per month than anybody else in the marketplace. And so, if we can figure it out here, it can be figured out pretty much anywhere. Lots of comments about kind of what it takes, and I'll share with you a little bit about that. More product, just to show you we've done what we're talking about. We've applied it. This is a project where Jim Schultz is in the back of the room with me, joined us actually when I pitched it to him. We were hot on affordable housing as a social responsibility, as something we felt we needed to do, and we wanted to develop a model where in trade for density we provide affordable housing. We can drive down the street, you'll never find any affordable housing units. We were able to sell them at almost 40% off retail, and the numbers all worked. What else do I want to show you? At the end of the day, people don't want, so we've heard the word walkability. I think, as practitioners of all kind of thinking about doing things better, we've tried SMART, we've tried New Urban, we've tried all this stuff. What people we think really want is character. They want walkability, but walkability is not a word people use. They know what it is, they get it, but at the end of the day, I think what really sets, great places apart, not just ours, but those places that have been built that we really value, is really, the word character. And so for us, we're all about inspiring character for people, and this is where I want to talk to you about the kind of the future of the market. The generation X, Y, and Z, I'm in the X, Y, and Z, they all want a story. Last night, Jason was good enough to take us out to dinner, and I forget who was next to me, but somebody ordered a steak, and the waitress said the cow's name was Gerard. I was like, I'm going to use that tomorrow. People want authenticity and connectivity. People want to know where their fruit comes from. They want to know what the name of the cow was. It's a new phenomenon for me, but it has tremendous value if we can tap into it. And I think the Buy Fresh, Buy Local movement was the first step in people really thinking about this differently. I also share with you, this is another fascinating model for me. So Target, mass retailer, right, pitches design, and 2 years ago goes out and finds all these little shops in the United States and basically pretends to rebuild them inside their Target shops. And so these are the 4 that I just grabbed off the website now, and they rotate them because, yes, people go to Target for great design, but now they even want more. Same prices, same everything, but they want to know why people are doing things. They want to be unique. They want things to be special. They want to hold on to things dear. And this really, this to me is really important in the sense that it's now reached the mass market, right? So now builders have a tremendous opportunity to capture what I think of as perceived value over cost. Instead of shooting for margin, we can now create perceived value and try and charge for it. And then the second piece that we've really come to talk about, which I've already shared, is, for us, it's all about respecting where we build. If we really want to be authentic, then we can't tear down barns. If we really want to be authentic, we really need to understand where we're building and, and rethink, how we do things. I'm now a resident of Lancaster County, and the most fertile agricultural land in the country that's not irrigated. But I shared with a couple people last night. What's fascinating, what I learned about Lancaster County is it's not about a farm, it's about a way of life. And so if we take enough farms out of Lancaster County, the entire agricultural industry collapses, and we no longer have what we all hold dear. And so, when you start thinking about that as a builder developer, you go, look, I'm not the guy who wants to build the last farm that takes all that down. I want to think about making sure that, you know, we can truly have places that we value, while at the same time having vibrant communities and businesses that can all grow. And we have, you know, a ton in Lancaster County, you know, we have Hershey, we have downtown Lancaster, we have Lidditz, we have all these great places that have all this character that are truly, you know, the walk-ups, as Chris talked about. I mean, we have to be really thoughtful about how we add on to those. Lots of examples of how something's done poorly. We've done some of them, and we're just sitting here saying we want to really rethink how that happens. I happened to go to to see the developer of the World Trade Center about 3 weeks ago. You walk up on the 8th floor and you look down on the 7 buildings they're building at the World Trade Center, and you know, this is the quote when you walk in. I'm like, absolutely, right? So I mean, you know, this is Winston Churchill saying the opportunity that we have to make a difference in people's lives is so substantial, so substantial, and I think many times, you know, at least from our perspective, we don't want to forget that. The business I'll run through really quickly. So so we're a developer builder. I always tell our team, and I think about this, you know, we're in 3 different businesses. We're in the manufacturing business, right? We've got to build things as inexpensively as possible, as quickly as possible, and as right as possible, just like any other manufacturer. And that's a key in terms of affordability. We're also in the retail business, which I think is being redefined. I mean, people used to want to know lots of details. Now they want to come in and they want a story, and there's no better picture of that than the Apple Store. And the next piece is one of the real estate business, which is the ups and downs, you know, buy low, sell high part of the industry. You know, I just want to talk about that piece of it, the buy low, sell high piece, all right? So I'm just taking a real quick look at the industry and going, for me, there's 3 different kinds of builders, developers of the business. There's, you know, a few public builders. There's a short number of private kind of regional or what I would consider kind of large privately held builders, and there's a whole bunch of small builders. In terms of who's able to pull this off, that's such a shrinking pie for a variety of reasons. There's so few people that can actually go out and think about changing the rules. And I want to share with you why. It comes down to this, okay? And I never thought of myself as a risk manager until 2006, and that's all I've done for the last 6 years, right? I have a lender over there. I got lots of people that are sitting there and saying, yeah, they build great homes and they grow a business and make a profit, but how good are they managing risk? And so every time you ask somebody to step out and not follow the rules, the risk goes up by a factor that hardly makes any business sense. And so, you know, and that has changed dramatically, and I don't think in the next 5 to 10 years our industry will embrace risk. Our, you know, I mean, our vendors and the people we do business will ever grab risk, you know, like they did in the last 5 or 10 years. So making this process difficult is only going to make it more difficult to happen. You know, my favorite Far Side cartoon is time does equal money. So if I always sit there and I say, you know, when we go to the municipalities, when we go to the people who are the decision makers, our neighbors, we sit there and say, if you're going to hold us up, we're out. Or if you're going to hold us up, you're going to get what's on the board. We cannot afford to have the approval process take longer for better, and we're not, you know, just can't make that happen. And I just quickly, again, Chris and John mentioned a few things. I mean, to do these kind of neighborhoods, we have higher overhead. We have a whole design team, I mean, that works for us. We've got to commit to product when we do footprint, so we don't have to do more traditional development. Site-specific architecture is a huge issue. And then these are just some of the things where we have to invest time, effort, money up front, all at great risk to pull these projects off. So what's the opportunity? I think Chris and John made a great argument here. You know, we are in the urban, I get it. I mean, the math works, the market's there. I think the challenge is in the suburban markets or the rural markets, where, you know, I mean, if we're going to drive cost up to develop closer to those places where everybody wants to be, we're just going to push all that lousy development further out, and that's not what we want either. So, you know, we have an opportunity to really redefine on a large scale. If we can do some of the things that John mentioned in terms of rethinking how approvals happen and stuff like that, really making a huge dent in terms of the way the suburban and the rural markets look. This is a quick slide I stole from a friend, John Burns. You know, the market is not what we all can continue to think it is. This is not 2 people, 2 kids living in the suburbs. There's lots of other housing needs that we need to meet in the suburbs for people that want very different types of housing, most of which I don't even find in zoning ordinances. You know, like, you can't look in there. I mean, we're still talking about duplexes and townhouses, and I mean, like, there's all kinds of new products, all kinds of innovation we bring to the market that aren't even available in most ordinances today. And so that's got to be looked at. And then, you know, this to me is the way I pitch what John said is, you know, we as a community that thinks about planning what the places we live should look like, maybe need to reframe the argument. Instead of kind of managing what we're all willing to accept, how about we figure out a way to encourage just simply, doing things better. And lastly, you know, this is my pitch for all of you who love design and architecture. Like, I've had enough with the rule of law. I've had enough with the science of engineering. We have filled those buckets up. You know, we have taken care of stormwater. We don't need any more regulation on those fronts. What we need to do, what we need in the conversation where many of us need to stand up and say enough, is there's not enough art of design in the places we build. And that, you know, that to me is the largest pitch I think I could make to this group, and I think this group could make to the rest of the world is, you know, it's not that we don't have, it's not that we don't have to worry about kind of the law. It's not that we don't have to worry about being thoughtful and worry about life safety, environmental issues from an engineering standpoint. But we've got to bring the art of design into the conversation in a more significant way. So I'll just close with, you know, the door is open. I think now with the way the market is, we have a tremendous opportunity over the next 3 to 5 years. If you're in the policy end, if you're in, in the consulting end with the building developer, we have an opportunity to make change here that I think that will last through the next cycle. If we miss as the cycle rebuilds and don't step in now and don't make those changes, the real estate market will heat up and we'll miss all these opportunities again for another 10, 15, 20 years. And so I would just encourage all of us to stand up if it's important and think about character more than anything else. Thanks.